I knew something was off the moment she started taking her phone into the bathroom. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who tracked his wife. But here I was, sitting alone in my truck in the middle of a cold Tennessee night, watching a small blinking dot on my phone. That dot was Alicia, my wife, my best friend, the woman I married 7 years ago under the oak tree in her parents' backyard, the woman I swore I'd never doubt. And now I was following her movements in real time, heart pounding like a war drum. It didn't start with anything dramatic, no lipstick on a collar or late-night phone calls, just shifts, subtle, quiet shifts. She started bringing her phone into the bathroom, changed her passcode, smiled at her screen a little too long. Our conversations got shorter, her hugs more mechanical. Then came the lie. 2 weeks ago, she told me she was meeting her friend Rachel for dinner. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But when I ran into Rachel at the grocery store the next morning and mentioned how nice it was Alicia saw her, Rachel just stared. "What dinner?" she asked. I felt my stomach drop. That was the night I ordered the GPS tracker and the voice-activated recorder. I didn't want to become that guy, paranoid, sneaking, obsessed. But something in me broke open. I had to know. I couldn't live in the silence anymore. So I waited for her next girls' night out. When she left, I kissed her goodbye like always, told her to have fun. Then I waited 20 minutes and checked the tracker. She wasn't heading to Rachel's. She was driving north, out of Knoxville, past the city limits. The VAR I planted in the bedroom picked up nothing unusual that day. But 2 nights later, when she went to visit her cousin, I caught something. Laughter, low voices, a man's voice. And then, unmistakably, her voice saying, "I wish I could fall asleep next to you every night." My vision went black for a moment. I don't even remember sitting down, just rage, sorrow, a strange, twisted relief. I wasn't crazy. And now tonight, the tracker showed her at a cheap motel off RE40. I pulled into the parking lot, engine off, lights dimmed. I didn't know what I was going to do. Confront her, take pictures, leave and never come back. But my hands didn't move. I just sat there, watching, waiting, dying inside. You think you know what you'll do in these moments. Scream, shout, demand answers. But all I felt was cold, empty, like the man I used to be had died already, and I was watching his ghost from the outside. She had no idea. She was inside, with him, and I was out here, with the truth. Keep watching. It only gets deeper. She didn't even flinch when she lied to my face. When Alicia came home that night, she smelled like hotel soap. She walked in humming, tossed her keys on the counter like nothing had happened, and kissed me on the cheek. I stood there, frozen. My heart begged me to scream, to demand the truth. But my mouth said nothing. "How was Rachel?" I asked. She smiled, peeling off her coat. "Good. We just grabbed some wine and talked about her breakup. Poor girl's a mess." I nodded, said nothing, because I had the recording. I had her voice. I had the man's voice. I had her location history. I knew everything. And she was lying like she'd been doing it for years. Maybe she had. Over the next few days, I started gathering more. I wasn't ready to confront her yet. Not until I had everything. Evidence, dates, details. I needed to understand how deep this went. How long I'd been living with a ghost of the woman I married. I started checking her phone while she slept. She kept it under her pillow like some teenage girl with secrets. But she was a heavy sleeper. I waited until her breathing got deep and rhythmic, then slowly, carefully, slid the phone out. The password was her old birthday. I guess she never thought I'd look. The messages weren't just flirty, they were intimate, deep, emotional. Dozens of late-night confessions, little voice notes, private photos. You make me feel alive. He doesn't see me anymore. Wish I was in your bed right now. His name was Carter, a divorced contractor from Johnson City. I looked him up. He wasn't anything special, not richer than me, not better looking. Just available and willing. That was enough, apparently. And the worst part? She told him she loved him. Not once, not in a fit of passion, but over and over again. In the middle of casual conversations, like it was the most natural thing in the world, like I didn't exist. I started sleeping on the couch. She thought I was just stressed from work, that I was moody lately. One night she even asked if I wanted to take a weekend trip. Just the two of us, like old times. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Maybe." She smiled, kissed my forehead. She didn't even flinch when she lied to my face. But inside, I was building a case, a timeline, a plan. And more than anything else, I was building the courage to walk away from a woman I had once built my entire life around. Because now, every time she said, "I love you," all I could hear was her saying it to someone else. The man she thought she was fooling didn't exist anymore. I started calling him the contractor in my head. Not Carter, not the guy, just the contractor. It made him feel smaller, like a function, a service, a role. Not a person who had crawled into my marriage and laid claim to what wasn't his. But the more I dug, the less it felt like he was the invader. No, he was invited. Alicia had let him in, bit by bit. One message, one confession, one night at a time. And me? I had been standing at the front door the whole time, too blind or too trusting to see that someone else had already moved in. One night, I replayed a voice memo she'd sent him while I sat alone in our bedroom. "You make me feel like I matter. With Brandon, I just feel invisible." Invisible. She said that while wearing the bracelet I gave her on our anniversary, while sleeping in the bed I built with my own hands, while living in a house I worked overtime to afford, I wasn't invisible. I was erased. And then came the video. I hadn't asked for it. But there it was, tucked into a hidden folder in her phone's cloud backup. A short clip, poorly lit, hotel lamp in the background. Her voice giggling, him calling her baby, her saying, "You're so bad." And then I stopped it. That was enough. I deleted the video, not out of mercy, but because I didn't want that image burned into my brain any more than it already was. Some wounds don't need to bleed to be fatal. The next day I called a lawyer. Not to file, yet, but to understand. To learn what I could expect, what I'd be walking into, what I'd be walking away with. We didn't have kids, but we did have property. Joint accounts. A shared life that now needed to be split like kindling. My lawyer's name was Melissa. She was sharp, direct, and didn't sugarcoat a thing. "Do you have proof?" she asked. I pulled out my phone, played the voice memo, showed her the location logs, the messages. Her eyebrows raised only slightly before she nodded. "That's more than enough." That night, Alicia made pasta. She poured me wine. She kissed my neck when I passed her in the kitchen. The woman who laughed in a hotel room with another man was now laughing in my house, as if nothing had happened. I looked at her and felt nothing. Not hate, not love. Just blank space, like staring into static. I realized then that the man she thought she was fooling didn't exist anymore. He died the moment he pressed play on that recording. What was left was someone else entirely. Someone colder, calmer, and not afraid to burn the whole thing down. I just needed one last piece, one final nail, and I knew exactly where to get it. I wanted her to hear her own words from someone else's mouth. I knew where they'd be on Thursday. Alicia had mentioned it offhand a week earlier, pretending to scroll through her calendar like she didn't already know every detail by heart. I might meet Rachel for dinner again Thursday night. She's having a rough time. Rachel, again. This time I didn't even flinch. I just smiled and nodded. But Thursday was one of the nights they'd used before. I still had the GPS logs, the location pings, the motel, same room, same routine, predictable. So I made my move. I called Carter. His number was saved in Alicia's phone under a fake name, Lydia, but I pulled it from their WhatsApp chat history. I expected it to go to voicemail or for him to hang up, but he answered. Hello? His voice was younger than I expected, almost relaxed, as if nothing in the world could touch him. Is this Carter? I asked. A pause. Who's this? I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I told him exactly who I was. Alicia's husband, the man he'd been helping her lie to for months. Another pause. Look, man. No, just listen. I'm not calling to scream at you. You don't owe me anything. She does. But I thought maybe you'd like to know who you're really dealing with. I forwarded him one of Alicia's messages. A voice memo where she said she was done lying, that she wanted to be with Carter fully, and that she couldn't wait to finally leave. Then I said, she's still here, still kissing me goodnight, still wearing her ring. Silence. He hung up. Good. I wasn't trying to scare him off. I didn't care if he stayed or left. I just wanted her exposed. Fully, completely, like a naked truth under a harsh light. That night, I played the VAR recordings for a second time. Only now, I wasn't listening as a husband. I was studying her patterns, how she spoke, the things she repeated, her tone. It's like he doesn't even know me anymore. I feel like I'm suffocating in that house. Carter, you make me feel seen. It wasn't just betrayal. It was performance. She had rehearsed these lines. She played them like a violin, and I wanted her to hear them again, from someone else's mouth. So I compiled the clips, the texts, the locations. I printed photos from the motel camera I had set up. Yes, I'd gone that far. A $200 motion sensor trail camera placed discreetly in a bush near the side entrance. I'd caught them holding hands, laughing, kissing by her car. I made a folder, put everything inside, labeled it, for Alicia. The next morning, I left for work early. By the time she woke up, I'd already texted her, "Don't call me, just read what's in the folder. I'll be home tonight. We talk then." She didn't reply. No calls, no messages, no flurry of denials, just silence, which told me everything. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't confused. She was caught. There was no scream, no slap, just silence that hurt more than anything. When I got home that evening, the house was quiet. Too quiet. The TV wasn't on. The kitchen lights were off. No sound of Alicia cooking or humming some old Taylor Swift tune while stirring sauce. Just the low hum of the fridge and my own pulse pounding in my ears. She was sitting at the dining table. The folder lay in front of her, still open. She didn't look up. I dropped my keys in the bowl by the door, the same way I had 1,000 times before, and walked over slowly. Still, she didn't say a word. "How long?" I asked. Her fingers twitched, then curled into fists. She finally looked up at me. 8 months, she whispered. It hit me harder than I expected. I don't know why. I had the data, the messages, I knew. But hearing her say it out loud made it real in a way screenshots never could. Why him? A pause. A tear ran down her cheek. I don't know. It just happened. I scoffed. Couldn't help it. That line again. The universal excuse of cheaters everywhere. Don't insult me, Alicia. It didn't just happen. You made choices. You lied. Repeatedly. And you smiled through it. She blinked fast, more tears falling. I was lonely, Brandon. You were always at work, always tired. You stopped seeing me. No, I said flatly. You stopped being worth seeing. Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, to fight. But the words didn't come. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I spoke. I've already spoken to a lawyer. We don't need to drag this out. There are no kids. You can keep the car. I'll move out. It's your parents' house anyway. She flinched at that. You're just giving up. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, Alicia. You gave up. You just didn't have the guts to end it cleanly. So you bled us dry slowly instead. She stood up suddenly, knocking her chair back. For a second, I thought she might throw something, scream, beg. But she didn't. She just walked past me. When she reached the hallway, she stopped. I did love you, she said. Quiet, almost apologetic. I still do. I didn't respond, because I didn't know how to explain what it felt like to be loved by someone who could smile at you in the morning and then share a bed with another man that night. That's not love. That's convenience. That's cowardice. She went into the bedroom, closed the door. I didn't fall. I sat there in the half-dark, staring at the folder, at the truth, at the ashes of the life I thought we had. There was no scream, no slap, just silence. And somehow, that hurt more than anything else. I let go, not for her, but for me. I moved out 2 weeks later. Didn't take much. Just a couple bags, my guitar, some tools. I left the wedding photos behind. Let her keep the souvenirs, the memories, the framed lies. The house didn't feel like mine anymore anyway. The first few nights were the worst. I'd lie awake in my brother's spare room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every smile, every touch that now felt counterfeit. I'd wonder when it started, what joke or kiss or late-night conversation was the first step toward betrayal. But that way lies madness. So I stopped asking questions that had no answers. Instead, I went back to work, one shift at a time. I kept my hands busy. I signed the divorce papers without dragging it out. No begging, no revenge, no theatrical exits. Just closure. Alicia tried to call once. I let it ring. She sent a long message, said she missed me, that she was sorry, that Carter wasn't who she thought he was. I didn't respond. What was there to say? She made her choices, I made mine. And mine was to let go, not for her, but for me. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I finally started loving myself enough to walk away from someone who could throw me away so easily. I'm not whole yet. I still flinch at certain songs. I still catch myself wondering if I missed the signs years ago. I probably did. We all do, when we want to believe love is enough, but I'm not broken either. Some days are quiet, some are loud, but all of them are mine again. And that's something. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever had to let go of someone who didn't value what you gave, maybe give this a like. Maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe even subscribe. You're not alone. And you're not broken. You're just beginning again.